Hi, I'm Erin. So, show of hands of how many of you have hung out with your friends and instead of interacting with each other, they're all on their phones, either texting other people or Facebooking or Twitter or Vining or Snapchatting. Mostly everybody, right? I know it's happened to me and I have been a victim of it. So technology is a huge factor on how we communicate with others, and the rise of social media and smartphones or devices have increased affected our lives. So my main claim is that technology negatively affects how we socially interact with others. And to prove that, I'm going to be talking about how technology allows people to avoid and replace face-to-face interactions with each other, and how technology increases social anxiety. So texting and social media are being used more to communicate with others than having person-to-person conversation. A 2012 study about online communication and internet use done by Joseph Mazur and Andrew Ledbetter, who are communication professors at Clemson University and Texas Christian University, stated that excessive internet users are limited in communicative effectiveness by a lack of social cues often available in face-to-face interactions. So basically, face-to-face interactions have visual signals and cues that aren't available when you're talking to somebody online. UCLA professor of psychology Albert Mehrambian found out that 58% of communication is through body language, 35% is through vocal tone, pitch, and emphasis, and only 7% is actually through the content of the message. So when you text or communicate somebody through social media, the most important parts of building a relationship with people isn't there. Secondly, texting instead of face-to-face interaction impacts teens and kids' interpersonal skills, and these skills aren't fully developed yet. MIT psychologist Sherry Turkle, who is a researcher in the effects of texting and interpersonal development, believes that having a conversation with another person teaches kids and teens to think and reason and self-reflect. My second claim is about how technology increases social anxiety. More and more people are more comfortable with talking online than texting in person. In a 2009 study about face-to-face communication versus technological communications among teens done by Tamara Pierce, who is a professional in mass communication and journalism at CSU Fresno, stated that there is actually a positive relationship between social anxiety and talking with others online and or text messaging. Texting allows people to preview and control what they say to avoid emotions such as like embarrassment, whereas like face-to-face interactions, you can actually see these emotions like if they are embarrassed. Secondly, being away from social networks makes individuals anxious. For example, like if you ever left your phone at home or it died at school, you feel like, oh, who's gonna text me, or who is on Facebook, or what is Twitter up to? And so according to the study of the relationship between technology and anxiety by Anxiety UK, which is a charity of anxiety disorders, they found out that 45% of people who are not able to access their social networks or email feel worried with anxiety or uncomfortable as a result. So all in all, building real connections with people require in-person communications through body language and verbal tonage, and something that texting or social media cannot replace. Thank you.
Erin, the visualization at the beginning is a good way to get the audience's attention and lead up to the subject. I think you clearly identify the main proposition. Your secondary claims are laid out as well. There are only 2 of them, so that's easy to follow. And they are stated like declarative sentences, which I appreciated, so that helps quite a bit. The signposting on the first point was okay, but you do have a whole series of minor claims that you're developing there, and they need to be a little bit more distinctive. I think you're depending on the evidence to help make the inference. So in other words, you often read the evidence, but you don't always kind of summarize what the conclusion is or present the conclusion first. We're often getting that afterwards, and so it's a little bit less effective than it might have been otherwise. At the end of the speech, though, I thought that you did a pretty good job summarizing what you meant, especially on that first point, because we are so dependent on nonverbal tools in order to be able to understand communication. The Morabian evidence is okay as statistical information. I also like the statistical information that you had on the level of anxiety that people might feel on the second point. So you got a little bit of statistical information in there. The one thing that was very consistent was your citation of authorities who have opinions on this subject and trying to give those authorities some credibility. So I thought you did a very good job on that. The presentation is pretty solid. Like I said at the beginning, you relate to us effectively. You're speaking to the audience. You've got a lot of information. I do think that because you have a lot of time left, that there was probably more that you could do with the arguments, but what you did present seemed a reasonable amount. It seemed like a reasonable start on the argument that you're making, and all of the evidence seemed to be supportive of the claims that you're applying it to. All right. Thank you.